Rafael Nadal makes his way into his 6th Australian Open final, getting it done against Matteo Berrettini in 4 sets. He now has a chance to win his 21st slam and usurp Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer on 20 slams. It is also a chance to win his 2nd Australian Open, and not just that, but win his 2nd career Grand Slam, something that Novak Djokovic, of course, has done and did it last year as well. So a huge, huge match and opportunity now in the final. We're not going to talk about that final preview. That'll be a separate video. We're going to go over this. It's post-match, Nadal versus Berrettini. Right, let's go into this. So my prediction actually was Nadal in 4 sets. So luckily I was right. As everyone knows on the channel, I'm a little bit of a Rafa fan, of course. So I was rooting for him to win. Although I really do like Berrettini and the way that he plays. I think he's a fantastic character as well. And if he had one, of course, give him his props. Before we get into it, though, please do remember to smash the like button, please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It really does help us out. And click the notification bell as well if you want to get alerts to all the new videos. Right, Nadal got it done here, 6-3, 6-2, 3-6, and 6-3. A very good display of tennis and level shown from Rafa Nadal. It was definitely a game of 2 halves, and that's a bit of a cliche, and people will know that from, well, if you watch football, you'll know the saying, as well, which is, yeah, a very interesting saying. Apologies if I sound a bit tired as well. Just finished doing the live watch along. Thank you to those who all watched it. But yeah, it was a match of 2 halves. Nadal, the first 2 sets, blew Berrettini away. It was fantastic tennis to watch. The first set, Berrettini just struggling really on the serve. Both the first and second set, Nadal broke in Berrettini's first service game. That gave him the platform straight away. Returned so well on that in that game. A couple of mistakes from Berrettini as well. Nadal targeting the backhand so effectively. And I did say in the preview that he'd need to make sure that he targeted the backhand well enough that it had enough pace on that forehand cross court and enough angle on it that it would force Berrettini to play a backhand rather than being able to run around it and hit the forehand, which he is quite skillful and adept at being able to do. But in the first 2 sets, Nadal hardly gave him any balls that he was able to run around onto the forehand, which then he's able to hit so cleanly into out. So for me, really impressive stuff from Nadal. The way he was striking the ball is probably the first 2 sets of this match is probably the best I've seen him play in a couple of years. That's how well I thought he played on hard courts, especially. I haven't seen him play this well since probably the 2019 US Open. So this was a really, really impressive win, I thought. Nadal striking the ball so cleanly from the back of the court. The forehand looked really heavy. It looked very, very good. Obviously, they were playing in indoor conditions as well, which was a huge, huge advantage, I thought, for Berrettini. Not so huge that it would change my thoughts that Nadal would win, but big enough that I thought this could be a very, very interesting match, and Berrettini could definitely push Nadal, and he did do that in the end. But we'll talk about the first 2 sets first, and I'll dissect the third set because I think that's a good set to look at standalone, and then we'll look at the 4th set, of course, as well. So yeah, the first 2 sets for me, Nadal lassoing that forehand cross court, Berrettini not able to, like, on the backhand side, it's definitely an improved shot from Berrettini, but it's something that still breaks down after a while. He hit a few nice backhand winners in that third set, which we'll talk about. But the first 2, if we isolate that, the backhand was breaking down multiple times. It was something that Nadal was so patient on. At times, he would then go into out with the forehand, go down the line, put it away after dragging Berrettini out onto the backhand side, almost off court. He utilized it really, really effectively. And then something that really interested me in the second set, which, he didn't do as much of in the first set because at times he would go to the forehand. He'd try and go into the forehand early on, and Berrettini would make him pay because it wasn't pinpoint enough from Nadal. There wasn't enough on the forehand. It wasn't right in the corner. And we know that as a lefty, it kind of naturally curls in towards you as a right-hander. So it was kind of in the hitting zone of Berrettini, and he likes and loves that forehand on the line, hits it so cleanly. Nadal ended up in the second set actually trying at times to go forehand to forehand at times, But the biggest surprise was him going backhand into Berrettini's forehand. So if you think about it, it's Nadal's backhand cross court into Berrettini's forehand. That seems like a recipe for disaster, right? You're going into Berrettini's strength. So off the top of your head, you think, oh, okay, that's not the right thing to do. And Nadal's perceived weakness in his backhand. Now, his backhand is a very solid tool now in the arsenal that is Rafa Nadal's toolkit. But in saying that, it was really, really good today, I thought. In the second set, he not only backed himself to hit it on multiple occasions, at times he opted against running around the forehand and would hit the backhand cross court. Not only did he hit the backhand cross court, he hit the backhand on the line really effectively, I thought, throughout the whole match. So into the Berrettini backhand, he was able to utilize that really well. He hits a nice, clean backhand on the line. It's quite flat, it's pinpoint for the most part. And at most of the time anyway, it avoided Berrettini being able to run around it. But the backhand cross court is what really impressed me. And the reason why is because there were rallies where his shot tolerance was actually better on the backhand side than Berrettini's forehand. Not just the shot tolerance, he was hitting the ball so cleanly and deep on that backhand side to the forehand of Berrettini that he was actually managing to hit winners, not just winners, but at times dragging Berrettini out so much to make him feel uncomfortable on the forehand. Now, Berrettini has got a great forehand, but he doesn't have a great running forehand. And that's exactly what Nadal exploited with a backhand cross court, beautiful topspin at times, dragging Berrettini off court, beautiful depth as well to push Berrettini back. It was a really, really masterful tactic used by Nadal and something that you can only pull off if you're playing well. Because, as I said in previous reviews and previews, the backhand only fires like that when you're playing well, especially when it's a weakness, right? Most players, the backhand is their weakness, or their weaker side anyway. So the first two sets fly by. Nadal gets the early break. The second set, he broke Berrettini twice, and he was just getting a fantastic read on the serve. The second serve return position, he was in for the most part as well. I think a couple of times he was further back. For the most part, the first two sets, he was in on the second serve return position, punished the second serve. Fantastic second serve returns, I thought. Really, really good. And if we look at some of the stats actually for the first two sets quickly. So if you look at the first serve points won, so you see here, look in the first set, Berrettini won 81% of his first serves, but behind the second serve, he only won 1 point. 1 point, right, out of 8. Crazy. If we look at winners on 4 serves, 8 and 5 for Nadal, 13 and 14 for Berrettini. Nadal as well served really well, I thought, in the first and second sets. Really pinpoint. He utilized the serve out wide on the ad side to the backhand of Berrettini, the serve down the tee on the juice side against the backhand really effectively. But the one thing that I thought was even more impressive was the flatter serve on the juice side, which I said he might utilize because it's such an effective serve to the right hand. If you're able to hit it flat, it kicks off the surface and it still drags the right hander out onto the forehand. And as I said, Berrettini stretching, most players are not able to hit that dry forehand. They do have to then slice it or block it back into court. And that then gives an advantage to Nadal, right? So that's exactly what was happening. And he managed to get a lot of free points utilizing those serves. That was really, really impressive. And then if you look at this, only 1 break point for Nadal in that first set, converted it that first game of the set. But the second set was a blitzing for me. First serve percentage from Nadal was down, but the first serve points won at 64%. You think that's not great. But second serve points won, look at that, 82% for Berrettini. 82% of serves in. So a massive turnaround, massive upturn there for Berrettini, right? You think, okay, well, he must be serving a lot better than surely easier service games. Nope. Only 57% of first serves won, 20% of second serve points won. Absolutely destroyed behind the first and second serve. And yeah, just crazy Nadal just breaking him for fun, really, in that in that set. It was just absolute blitzing, to say the least. Look at this, 8 winners to 10 on 4 serves, 7-2 for Nadal. It was just a fantastic set of tennis from the Spaniard. And as I said, 2 of the best sets I've seen him play since the US Open 2019, especially on hard courts anyway. But then came the third set, and there was a considerable drop in the level of Nadal. Now, this is the one thing, and as I said, everyone knows I'm a Rafa fan. I can openly admit, yes, it was a very good win, but the third set and even the fourth set, which we'll get onto in a second, were worrying. The third set, especially because he did exactly the same thing in Shapovalov. Now, I thought at the time that was because of the. At the time, I thought, look, it's just because the stomach issue and he's probably a bit injured and it happens. And I thought, yeah, okay, probably because of that. Yes, that is a reason. But it happened again today. Not only did it happen again today, it happened against Khachanov as well. Now, against Khachanov, he did exactly the same thing where on the second serve return position, he started standing really far back. He did exactly the same thing in the third set here. Now, I don't know whether that's because he does feel a bit more tired in the third set and the intensity has gone a little bit because he plays at such a high intensity and he's older, right? So the first two sets he manages to blitz people at times, and the third set he feels like he has to take a little bit off in terms of the intensity, so he gives himself more time. I don't know if that's the case. It could be. All I will say is that by doing that, it backfired, and it backfired against Khachanov. It backfired here. Of course, that's not the be-all and end-all. It's not the be-all and end-all. The second serve, right? It's not. It's not. As in, yes, okay, it meant that he couldn't return as well. I thought personally, and he didn't. But then he didn't look after his serve either, Nadal. So there's a lot of pressure. He was also in the first two sets. Obviously, he got the break straight away in both those sets. So he was in front the whole time in both sets. He was never behind in the whole match or in any set until the third set where Berrettini held serve. Now, he held serve, by the way, after a really sketchy game when Nadal had an opportunity to end up breaking him. Didn't end up breaking him in the end. And, Berrettini went on to... it was just a very, very interesting set, to say the least. Berrettini's level rose a huge amount. I think he took a lot of confidence from holding straight away, which was really, really helpful. I think if you're Rafael Nadal, I think he was if you're Berrettini, to hold serve was really, really helpful. And then after that, it was a case of, well, okay, fantastic. Let me now take this momentum for the rest of the set. And that's exactly what Berrettini did. He started hitting huge forehands. The backhand started firing better as well. More confident on that side. He hit a huge winner down the line on it. A couple of passing shots as well. Came to the net more, trying to finish off points. Overall, the confidence was oozing from me. You could feel it. Nadal started hitting a lot of forehand short, a lot of backhands in the middle, not really a lot of intent in the shots, kind of just like surviving. There are a lot of service games where he had a couple of inroads because of mistakes on Berrettini's serve, or he made a good return. And then after that, it was like he was hanging on by a thread every single rally. And Berrettini actually had the better of Nadal in the longer rallies in the third set, which is a crazy thing to say because you expect the shot tolerance of Nadal to be better, but it wasn't. Either it wasn't better or he was hitting so short, Berrettini just stepped in and put balls away for fun. That's what was pretty much happening in that third set. Now, it sounds a bit harsh. You might say, oh, but he won in the end, and he did, and I appreciate that. And he played some really, as I said, phenomenal tennis first two sets. Third set, there was a marked drop in his form. Berrettini served a lot better as well, I thought, which then, of course, I thought it was an upturn in Berrettini's form and a downturn in Nadal's form, and it just led to Berrettini taking the set. If you look at the first set percentage, pretty good from Nadal, very good from Nadal actually, pretty good from Berrettini. First set points won though, Berrettini clearly outdoing Nadal there. Second set points won as well, outdoing Nadal. When it's unforced error 9 for Berrettini, 7 unforced errors, that's a very tight set for him. He is normally, if he's hitting around those numbers, it means he's normally playing pretty damn well. And for Nadal 6 and 7, which isn't ideal for him, he's normally used to hitting more winners and unforced errors in his set. And then set 4 we'll get on to, which was a very interesting set. Because Berrettini, for me, he took a huge momentum going into that fourth set. And also, the biggest thing for Berrettini was that he broke Nadal at 4-3 up, right? So Nadal served and then managed to serve at 5-3. Nadal had to break him. He didn't. He held to love, I think, Berrettini. Then after holding to love Berrettini, he went on to hold to love for another, another 3 games he held to love. So he held 4 games in a row to love, if I'm not mistaken. Which is ridiculous, to say the least. He was serving unbelievably, like genuinely unbelievably. There was one game, to be fair, where Nadal, there were 4 second serves. Nadal hit 2 returns long or into the net, and then the other 2 points, it was just pedestrian tennis. Like, they were good returns. Then after that, he just completely blew those points. It was crazy to see. And Berrettini cashed in. So I'm watching it and I'm just thinking, Nadal is struggling a lot. He's struggling behind his serve as well. A lot of tough games, not really serving as well. And the points going longer on his serve, and he was losing them. Berrettini just firing on all cylinders, forehand and backhand, coming to the net. Just looked the better player, to be honest with you. He was playing the better tennis. And it was just like, okay, look, the only way Nadal wins a set is if he manages to somehow hold serve and he's like clinging on serve, and then somehow break Berrettini. But at the moment, Berrettini, later on the set, but Berrettini at the moment is serving so well, he's going to have to wait for the one moment, and then he has to be clinical then. I said this on my stream and I'll say it here. You can win more points in a set but still lose it. You can also win more points in a match and still lose it when it comes to tennis. That is the crazy game of tennis, but that's the way the game works. It doesn't matter if you hold to love or whether you hold after going to juice, having 8 juices and then holding. A hold's a hold. It doesn't change the score. Of course, what it takes out of you mentally and physically is different, of course. But of course, when you look at the score, it doesn't make a difference. Nadal was clinical. The chance came and Nadal put it away. It's so funny as well because he hadn't won a single point on Berrettini's serve, if I'm not mistaken, until he was 4-3 up. He managed to just hold, go 4-3 up, and then he won the first point of the service game on Berrettini's serve. The second point. So he was 15 love up Berrettini. He won the second point, and then he went on to break. And it was just like, this is clinical. This is clinical. This is what the greats do. They don't play particularly well sometimes, but they still manage to get the job done. That's exactly what Nadal did. He got the job done. Berrettini, as I said, was playing the better tennis. But a couple of tight points from him, a couple of mistakes, forehands into the net. Like, Nadal was actually a bit fortunate to get away with those, and then Nadal manufactured the break point, took it. It was, the first time of asking, Berrettini saved it. Second time of asking, Nadal managed to break. It was a forehand into the net. Nadal with a good second serve return. A lot of second serves actually in that game from Berrettini, which is what killed him, because at advantage, there's 2 advantages for the break points, and both times they were second serves. Nadal didn't cash in, and in the end managed to get it done. And in fact, Berrettini had a game point in that game as well and didn't take it. Makes a big difference, right? Pressure points won, Nadal would definitely be in front, you would imagine. Well, he definitely was. In terms of the 4 set, 3 aces each. Look at that first set percentage, 50 to 77%, 85% for Nadal compared to 80% for Berrettini. Second serve points won. Look, I mean, Berrettini had a really good serving set. It's just apart from that one game. They look at the winners down for shares 8-8, 7-5, much the muchness. Net points won. Nadal won 5 out of 5. A couple of really important ones. Berrettini 3 out of 4. Return points won 5 out of 26 out of 26. It was a very, very interesting set, to say the least. But, well, Nadal got it done. He got it done. He'll face either Medvedev or Tsitsipas in the final. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Please remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you I'll see you on the stream later on and for the final. Thank you.